Sarah?
All right, I'm calling the Village of Cross Plains Board of Trustees meeting of July 27, 2026. To order, roll call, please.
Trustee Henry.
Here.
Trustee Brochus.
Here.
Trustee Borcar. Trustee Borglund.
Here.
Trustee Polakowski.
Here.
Trustee Calvater.
Here.
President Lincoln.
Here, you stand for a pledge of allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America,
and
to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
They will move to public comment as an opportunity for anyone to address the village board on any issue. Please observe the time limit of 3 minutes while the village board encourages input from residents that may not discuss or act on any issue that is not duly noticed on the agenda. Do we have anybody here that would like to speak at public comment? All right, do we have anybody on the computer?
I do not see anyone.
All right, we will move then to the consent agenda. Upon request of any trustee, any item may be removed from the consent agenda for separate consideration under general business. Any trustee would want to separate any? All right, do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
I have a motion and a second, discussion.
One, I wasn't at the last meeting.
Yep.
Just, how do I abstain from that one in the consent agenda?
At the end of the vote, you can just say I abstain.
Okay.
I just have a question for Bobby. On your financials, the 200,000 that you have down for borrowing for water infrastructure says engineering, isn't that the pipe though? From, that will lead to the northeast part of the village, or is there another 200,000?
This is for like phase 2 infrastructure engineering. Like our 43% of.
Okay, what I guess my question is, we approved the borrowing and that included a $200,000 water system grant. Is that for this, or is that for the pipe that they laid in already in phase 1?
Nothing in this borrowing was specifically for that umbilical cord pipe or Finish Street. Like,
Okay, so the borrowing is just for this working on the reservoir in phase 2?
right, but should we need to use some of that money for the other stuff? Like it's for water infrastructure, it's kind of general.
Okay, what I'm trying to figure out is, since I'm putting together options on paying for it, I need to know if I'm adding another $200,000 to that formula, or is the 200,000 that I put in enough?
You don't need to add 200, no.
Okay.
No.
All right,
We can always talk tomorrow or something.
well, yeah, I mean,
Right,
I put a lot of time in the numbers and I just want them to be correct.
Right.
That's why when I saw this, I questioned, I wasn't sure exactly what this is for.
yes, the 200 that's in the budget amendment is for phase 2 infrastructure engineering. Not for the pipe that's in the.
Okay, that's good to know. And have we paid this already? Have they done that much work already?
Not yet, no. That was an estimate from Brian Berquist from a couple months ago, like when we first were getting together the borrowing numbers. It's a high estimate, like,
Yeah, but I'm gonna have to add, cause I thought Brian gave us the same number, 200,000 for the pipe being in phase 1. So I'm gonna have to add another 200,000 then. If we're, cause that's gonna be a cost. Unless this is
So
part of
this
the
looks
4,
like
is
that
this part of the
big
4
5
million?
The 9 million, yes,
It might be part of the form.
yes, it is.
It's part of the 4 million? Okay, then I don't. All right.
Yeah.
All right, that's all I had.
Just a reminder that the Hickson meet up on.
Hold it, we're still on
Oh,
consent
yeah,
agenda.
You're right. President. Go ahead.
All right, any other discussion? All in favor, say aye. All abstain? So moved. Now we're on.
From one.
Yeah, and we have, thank you. Okay, village president, the only thing I have is that this is probably gonna be extremely complex budget season. Not only because we have a lot of unknowns for next year, like how much more new village hall police department's gonna cost us in operating, we have to figure out how we're gonna pay for the water infrastructure. We're looking at, some awful large, borrowing requests, so it's important that you try to do as much as you can to try to understand and just realize why we're focusing on small pieces. You gotta keep the big picture involved, and you gotta realize some of the decisions we made will affect the budget's 2 to 3 years down the line. We'll try to point all that out. You'll probably get the first water memo from me later this week. I just need to confirm some numbers on Wednesday since we're meeting with Brian. And again, I've tried to put it in pieces, but you gotta understand what we decide here is gonna affect this piece and could affect this piece. So I just wanted to make sure everybody's aware that always keep the big picture in mind. That is all that I have. Vice President.
Okay, just a reminder that Hickson Homies is coming up on August 1st. It's over at Bear Park. It's pickleball tournaments and volleyball tournaments. And then we have 2 anniversaries. John Leila, did I say that correctly? Loja. He is celebrating his 1 year with our village is on July 7th. And then Becky Ward has got 8 years on July 30th. Congratulations to both.
All right, thank you. Any other trustees report?
No.
All right, village administrator.
Yep, I just wanted to give an update on those abandoned MG&E poles on Bear Street, that was discussed the last meeting. So those are, because MG&E upgraded to new poles. And so basically, so they have their new MG&E poles and the old poles are still standing. So MG&E then advises, anybody that's using the old poles, that they have new poles and they need to move over. So that's Spectrum, is still occupying the old poles. And so basically MG&E can't force them off, of that old pole. So I've been working with Brian Berquist. He's been helping out other communities with the same problem, just to kind of put some fire underneath MG&E and Spectrum to get them to transfer over to the new pole. So that's why those are still upstanding. And I'll provide an update as soon as I have anything else. But right now, Town and Country has been calling and trying to get them to do something. But like I said, MG&E can't force Spectrum off the pole that they're currently using. So you're welcome. And then other than that, as was kind of chatted about earlier before the meeting, was that interim market update notices are going to be sent out by Accurate Assessors. So you should be seeing those hopefully in your mailbox this week. We're going to keep putting the pressure on. They said they've mailed them already, but just keep your eyes and ears open for that. We anticipate a lot of phone calls with a lot of questions, but we've been advised to have Accurate Assessors answer those. So kind of pushing them onto those folks, but those will be coming shortly. So.
And just so you know, they could be very large. Mine is going almost doubling, 334,000 up to 600 and something. So,
Wow.
I'm expecting that people will get, now technically, if everybody's goes up, the mill rate goes down, so it should balance out. But you're gonna need to try to explain that to people, because people are gonna go into shock when they see how high their value.
Well, it makes sense, because the last assessment was pre-2019, right?
2018.
And that's when housing prices
It's still,
really jumped up, was 2019, 2020.
I went through this once before that,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
it wasn't even close to what these numbers are. So there's a lot of education needs to be
Yeah.
done. So just be aware of it so you're not caught off guard.
They did have a nice post on Facebook about it and tried to explain the mill rate and that kind of stuff.
Okay,
So she did a
good.
nice job on that, but we'll still get calls.
Yeah,
Yep, I think we all will.
And the new amounts are on Access Dane.
Oh,
Yeah, wait.
Okay, good to know.
Is that, Jay, is that how you got it?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can go there every day and look at it.
Well, actually, no, I didn't look at it. Bobby mentioned it and she looked up mine and said, you're gonna be really surprised.
That's all I have though.
All right. Village department heads, anybody? All right, we'll go to general business. Big one for tonight. Administration of the oath. Our new police officer. Now I saw the judge here and. Tony, I'll let you handle.
So really quickly, I'm Reese. Those roles. Nice to meet you. You too. Jed, Reese, nice to meet you.
Hey, Reese.
Good to see you again.
Nice to meet you.
We're in the middle. Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you. Welcome.
And Judy.
Nice to meet you, Judy. I like that. I'll skip it. Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you. Thank you all. I'll be very much.
Well,
I know. I know.
All right, welcome everybody. Thank you for coming. After 2 extensive searches, we landed on Reese and it was highly competitive. We're a picky department. We want people that are community oriented, strong community people, people that are gonna mesh with our team. And so we worked really hard to get Reese to come here. So we're excited to have him. And today is the day to basically swear him in and get him started. He'll be going off to the academy here in about 3 weeks. And then we'll get him back in December and then get him through our field training program. So we really won't have him in the field until probably March. The staff is excited to have him. He's been on a couple of ride-alongs with people, getting to know everybody. He's coming to my house tomorrow for a department-wide cookout, so that way they can get to know him even better. So this is our family. All my guys are here, which is awesome. So without further ado, I'm gonna get out of the way and I'll let you do your thing.
Yeah, thank you. Chief Tony told me, he asked me if I would continue doing this. Said it was a fun thing for the judge to do, and I agree. It's exciting to have you all here, so thank you. So, Reese, have you raised your right hand and repeat after me? I, Reese Lehman, having been appointed as police officer of the Cross Plains Police Department.
I, Reese Lehman, has been appointed to the Cross Plains Police Department.
Swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States of America and the state of Wisconsin.
Swear that I will support the Constitution. Oh my gosh, you're gonna have to go again. I'm so nervous.
No,
Oh,
that's fine. The Constitution of the United States of America
Constitution of the United States of America
and the state of Wisconsin.
and the state of Wisconsin.
And will faithfully and impartially discharge the duties.
And will faithfully, I have to go again.
And will faithfully and impartially.
And will faithfully and impartially
Discharge the duties
discharge the duties
of my office
of my office
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my abilities.
I, Reese Lehman, swear
I, Reese Lehman, swear
that I will abide by the code of ethics
that I will abide by the code of ethics
adopted by the Cross Plains Police Department.
adopted by the Cross Plains Police Department.
On my honor,
On my honor,
I will never betray my badge,
I will never betray my badge,
my integrity,
my integrity,
my character,
my character,
or the public trust.
or the public trust.
I will always have the courage
I will always have the courage
to hold myself
to hold myself
and others accountable
and others accountable
for our actions.
for our actions.
I will always uphold the Constitution,
I will always uphold the Constitution,
my community,
my community,
and the agency I serve.
and the agency that I serve.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Welcome.
Thank you. Really quickly, thank you all for being here as well. I know that it's been a long journey for me to get here. I want to shout out my 2 sergeants from Madison College for always supporting me all the way in my law enforcement progress and teaching me what I need to be successful for 20 years. So thank you all for inviting me into your Village of Cross Plains family. I can't wait to work with all of you. So.
We will now have the pinning. guys are all welcome. We'll step outside, take some pictures. We can let the village board.
Awesome. Thank you all again. I
Congratulations.
Good luck to the academy.
Thank you very much.
All right, guest speaker, we have the superintendent,
Mhm.
Dana.
Yeah.
Actually, I'll attend it.
Yeah.
It was so nice to be able to see you. That was lovely. So this past school year, our schedules didn't jive and I wasn't able to put out and give an update. So I really thank you for having me here tonight. Just to give you a little bit of information about what's been going on in the school district and happy to answer any questions that you all might have. So last school year was really successful. Couple of things that we are celebrating, we are seeing an uptick in district enrollment, really watching a lot of new construction, including a large development that's happening over here. We're really hopeful that it's going to bring a lot of school age kids to Park and to Glacier Creek. So we're excited about that. Our junior class this past year had the second highest ACT composite in the state of Wisconsin, 421 school districts. We were second only to Whitefish Bay. Which is pretty amazing considering our demographics, place us the most demographically diverse district in the top 20. And that's a full system measure and it's an apples to apples comparison. Every high school junior in the state of Wisconsin takes that assessment. So it's a great way for us to kind of compare and contrast how we're doing compared to the rest of the state. We continue to be the best district in Dane County according to leash.com. Our district received the highest mark on the state report card for the first time since the inception of the state report card system. And so we're significantly exceeds expectations. If you follow activities, we had 4 state championship teams this past year. So go Cards, we're very excited about that. And now we are obviously planning for the next school year. And for the past couple of years, happy to report that the number of people who are applying for positions in our district continues to grow and the depth and kind of quality of our applicant pools also is really stellar. So we plan to be fully staffed again this upcoming school year, and that will make that 4 years in a row that we're fully staffed and ready to welcome kids here in just a couple of weeks. Summer is fine. When it comes to the things that we're working on, teaching and learning wise, we continue to focus on making sure our kids are really prepared to leave us and do great things upon graduation. We are putting into place some really innovative programming at the high school level where kids who are juniors and seniors are able to deeply immerse themselves in some potential area of interest post-secondary. We have future educators, we have global business, we have marketing, we have biomedical engineering, and this next year we're adding medicine and healthcare. So we're really excited about those opportunities for our kids. I think the last time I was here, I told you about our Cardinals journey, those 8 competencies that we're hoping to instill in students as they move through our system. We'll be in year 2 of that implementation. That is going incredibly well. So thank you for your support of that. Community engagement, continue to go out and speak to anyone who will listen to us talk. And I'm joined here by one of our Board of Education members, Bob Green. We are heading into an operational referendum ask here in November. And so you're likely going to see me back here probably sometime in September or October where I can share with you more information about all of that. One exciting thing we're putting into place this upcoming year, we have a Hall of Fame at our stadium already. And we've decided to expand that to a program that's going to recognize outstanding alumni from Middleton High School across a variety of different fields. We're calling it our Cardinal Legacy Gallery, and we'll be giving our first series of Radiance Awards for distinguished alumni in February. You are able to nominate anyone. All of the information is on our website, and I want to thank Trustee Henry. He's on our selection committee. So we will be meeting in September to determine the first class of inductees into our new Alumni Hall of Fame. When it comes to fiscal health and stewardship, 9 consecutive years of clean financial audits. There aren't many school districts who can make that claim, and we're really proud of our finance team for that. Continue to struggle with state funding, with federal funding, which is why I'm working with our Board of Ed right now on coming to a consensus around an operational referendum question that will likely be on the November ballot. We are heading into this next school year will be the last year of a 4-year non-recurring operational referendum. So that is sunsetting. And so we're going to go back out to our community and ask for that to be renewed. And so more details will come as soon as those details are finalized. Sustainability, we continue to be a leader in the nation and in the state in sustainability efforts. This is one of those cost saving measures that's already paying off on the investment that we're making. So we're putting a variety of different solar array projects on all of our buildings, looking at all of our facilities through a really critical lens. And that work will continue heading into this next school year. We share a lot of information on our social media. So if you don't already, please give us a follow. Because our comms team does a really nice job of celebrating our kids and our staff. So with that, I would welcome any comments or questions y'all might have.
Anybody have anything? I have Bill, Jed.
So this is great, and obviously my kids went to school and they had a great education, so, but, you know, things are changing, and what I heard you say is you're increasing programming for biomed and other aspects of, for future growth for the students when they, you know, post high school, right?
Yeah.
So the two things that I think are, important is one is, I don't know which, there's no order, but AI is going to take over this business community. And so is that something that is, you're developing the kids to better understand and ethically
Yeah,
understand and both, you know, use it? And so that's one question.
Yeah, okay.
Second, on top of that, AI is also taking away jobs from white collar positions. Because it can do some of them faster, better, whatever the case might be, that's what companies are going for. Our company's doing that. So a lot of the blue collar jobs are the ones that seem to be more in demand or will be more in demand because AI cannot take over them. So are the programs in place over the school for that as well?
Yeah, I'll start there and then I'll go back to our approach to AI.
Perfect.
So our school actually has been recognized on the national level for what we're doing. You said blue collar, some people call it trades. You know, those types of careers.
I'm old, that's
If you,
what I call it.
that's okay. If you'd ever like a tour of our high school, please let me know because those learning spaces are front and center in our high school. So I think it was 73% of our high school graduates take at least one career and technology education course during their 4-year experience.
You're required to?
They are required to take electives, but
Okay.
these courses are so popular. Welding, building and trades, woodworking. Kids can get actually industry recognized credentials while they're in high school.
Wow.
They make them very, very employable. So the Washington Post and the Washington State Journal actually came to our district and did some exposés, CBS Evening News 2 years ago on those kinds of programming options in our high school. About 74% of our kids choose a 4-year experience, which means a lot of kids don't see themselves in a 4-year college. So we have a lot of partnership with Madison College. It's a gem in the state that offer a lot of associates or kind of those tech field training programs.
Sure.
So we actually, I think, are probably a little ahead of the curve when it comes to all those different kinds of opportunities for kids. When we talk about AI in general, about 3 years ago, we brought together a large group of people to start learning about artificial intelligence and what that would mean for every aspect of district operation, from food service to transportation to actually teaching and learning. In our system, kids in kindergarten through 8th grade largely are not exposed to AI. 9th through 12th grade is really where we're having those conversations with educators and with kids. And it is all about understanding what it is, what it's not, where it's acceptable, where it's not acceptable. We actually badge or make a notation for kids and for families. When kids are given an assignment, they're told, is AI use acceptable or is it absolutely not acceptable when it comes to this assignment? It's another reason why we're so passionate about this, right? So these are the competencies that we're trying to instill in kids because we're preparing them for jobs that likely don't even exist today. And so these are the skills that are really transferable across all different areas of professional life. So we know AI has left the station. Our teachers actually, are pretty amazing when it comes to using it responsibly, helping our kids use it responsibly. I do a superintendent advisory with kids every year, so I've got 25 high school kids that I meet with every month. They are probably the most cautious. They really want to make sure that we are being cautious as an educational institution. They have a lot of, I don't want to say they're afraid of it, but they have cautions about the use of artificial intelligence. I also work at the university, so I'm able to see kind of how the University of Wisconsin is dealing with AI in that setting, and we want to make sure that we're kind of in lockstep with that. So a lot more to come because it's changing rapidly. But we think we have the right people in places where we're learning and we are responsibly implementing. Yeah, thanks for the question.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Two questions, room for growth. I think in the
this
previous,
one's kids, you need
yes,
spaces.
I think you've talked in the previous ones that there was plenty of room. There might be
Yes.
some shifting in the elementary school, but I had a discussion with a neighbor just this last weekend. She said, oh, the middle school's filling up. I said, I don't think so, but
Yeah, so our 7 elementaries have space. And because with our housing market being what it is, people who are moving into our district typically are buying a second or third home. And their kids are middle school and high school age. We're not attracting a lot of young families with young kids because the houses are so expensive, so it's harder so our elementaries are fine. Glacier and Cronry are getting pretty close to capacity. So, that's probably the one area we're watching. Our high school has plenty of space. Our high school right now, 2,400 kids, it's built for 3,000. So there's room to grow there. There's room to grow at our elementaries. Our middles is where we're watching.
Okay.
Going in.
and then costs in terms of referendums, because we've had a number of referendums over the last 5 or 6 years.
Yep.
Can you give me an idea? 'Cause we're obviously gonna face a lot of tax questions here.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
another operational referendum is coming up.
Yep.
That's something so can you tell me how much is going to the school on, someone's
Yep.
tax bill?
We're still finalizing that. Our board will vote on August 10th, so I'll be able to have more finite information, but the conversation so far. We passed an operational referendum in 2022. It sunsets at the end of this school year. $24.9 million goes off of our books at the end of this upcoming school year if the operational referendum is not renewed. We surveyed our community to get their appetite for what they would be willing to support. Our community let us know, number one, about 90% of our community supports our school system, which is awesome. We floated 3 potential money amounts to our community. None of them received great feedback. So I've been working with our board to reduce the overall referendum ask that we're going to be making in November. And basically, we're asking to pick up where we left off. So we're not adding any more in year 1. We're just saying that 24.9, we'd like you to just renew that. So it would not be any additional tax impact in year 1. And then every subsequent year, we're asking for 4% in inflation. That's one of the referendum options we're looking at that seems to have the most favor of the board. That scenario would still require us to cut about $5 million from our budget. One thing we saw in our survey is that people are willing, I think, to continue to support us financially this way, as long as we can show how we're also really tightening our belts. And so I've been working with the board on that kind of feedback.
We're still paying for the high school remodel and everything, right?
Correct.
And how much of those
Yeah.
costs are we still, and when do those fall off?
Yeah, I'll have to get back on to you on that with respect. I think we probably have several more years of the high school referendum. Still on the books, and the board is very aware of that. We're very aware of that, and so we're likely going to be having some conversations about how to pay down some of that debt in addition. But more to come on that.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's an important thing for us with the costs that are going up around here. If
Yeah.
there's an offset somewhere else,
Yeah.
or if there's not,
Yeah, understood.
as someone who owns 2 properties in the district.
Yeah,
it's a-
yeah,
it's a lot.
understood. Yeah, for sure.
so I'm just gonna follow up on Jim. Like I said, I supported the past referendums. This one, I'm probably one of them that had a negative for it, but I do like to hear that you're just trying to stay
Yeah,
at the level.
Yeah.
And I will certainly support that, but I think and Bob and I have had many talks since he's my neighbor.
Yeah. I did that.
One thing that I would add, because, this is a question I get and
Yeah.
I don't have an answer to, and I have the same question. So last year from the school district, mine went up 18% just for the school
Yeah.
part. And then the year before that, 16%. So those seem like huge, and I understand where the state upped the amount for the kids, but they didn't give you the money.
It's the taxpayer.
Yeah, the taxpayers paid for it, thank God that they did that, right? So I think that's, I would, this is just my opinion, is that's the way to go, to say, hey, you know, we wanna maintain what you guys voted for a year ago, 4 years ago, instead of dropping down, because there's no doubt that the education and what the kids are getting is outstanding,
Yeah.
you know, I mean, I don't think anybody doubts that at all. But, you know, 4% I could probably live with if that's what you're banking on. But that, I just wanna keep it in mind that people are aware of
I
it,
usually appreciate the feedback. Yeah.
and, you know, those were big numbers. You know, considering
Yeah.
for us, we stayed between 3 and 3.5 and trying to figure out. And that was the big thing, is what was the money going for? That was the big question, okay,
Sure.
why did it go up 16? Why'd you have to go up another 18? What's the cost that's going up? And you have, I saw what you paid your teachers and stuff, but that wasn't close to 18% increase, so. That may come up, and I don't know what it is, some people are speculating it's the healthcare, since you're going with your own doctors and nurses and that kind of, I don't know if that has cost you guys more. I haven't looked through your budget.
It's actually a cost saver, our own health.
Oh,
plan is a
okay.
Cost saver.
Okay,
But we know that, when we roll out our presentation, which we'll be doing all over,
Yeah.
we'll probably host 2 town halls here in Cross Plains. So anyone who's interested can come in and listen to our presentation and ask questions. We know that those details are gonna matter, and so we'll be prepared to talk to them. So I appreciate you bringing that up.
anybody else have any questions, comments?
I guess one quick question.
Go ahead.
Have you gotten any effects from the federal government side of things? I know a lot of that goes through the state, but I work with a lot of school districts in my job across the nation. And
Yes.
what I keep hearing is, you know, the lack of funding to the education / the abolishment of it has really impacted that, or they're bracing for it.
Yep, so this past year, we thought, because the messages, in advance of last school year, we kept getting mixed messages from the federal government. That we receive a very small percentage of our overall budget from the federal government, it's right around $5 million. And our overall budget is 150 million, so to give you just some, perspective. But those programs are important, and we were told we weren't going to be getting those funds, so we worked to try to backfill those and take away from other places. Then we did get those funds, but we have been told in the future not to expect them. So we're expecting not to get them, and if we do, wonderful. So far, we have not felt a financial impact from the dismantling of the Department of Education at the federal level. But a lot's left to be seen. So we've been told a lot of those main functions are shifting to other governmental agencies, and the monies will still flow. No news is good news right now, and we haven't received any notification that we're going to have a negative budget. Next week will be different. No.
Bob?
I wanted to thank Dana for her excellent presentation. Just be aware that the board is actually looking at our budget and looking at it with a different pair of eyes than we've looked at it in the past. And we're looking to sharpen our pencils and get down, take a look at it. The committee made us very aware of the fact that if we're at all looking to get a referendum moving forward, then we need to do our part as well. And that part is obviously going to be looking at the budget. We have some alternative funding out there, possible TID coming through, doing some pay down on some of our debts and such as that. So those are some things that are out there. Plus, it's kind of like an onion, you gotta peel off. Sometimes you layer the onion, still keeping the onion inside the cat. Sometimes you gotta peel it off, just because it is what it is. We have to find a way to make sure that the community was with what we're doing and moving forward. And then one last thing, if you guys heard the fire truck and ambulance come through, was Stingrays, they're 3 peats on the championship of swim team.
All right, thank you.
Thanks for
Appreciate you both coming in.
Thank you, Dana.
Thank you.
All right, discussion and possible action regarding new village hall and police department. We'll take them both separately.
Award of Technology package, I'll take that one.
A.
So I have a memo in the packet here, and Michael Klaas from Wold is also on the call tonight. So if you recall, back on June 19th, there was a bid opening for the technology package. So at that point, we had put both technology or AV and security together in one package. And then there came two bids out of that, with the lowest bid from Integral Building Systems out of Madison in the amount of $413,893. And then the board rejected the bids at the June 22nd meeting, and then directed the team to rebid the project, to reduce the scope of the project, and then to make those bids separate. So someone could vote or could bid on just an AV portion of the project, or just the security package, or both. So to provide that opportunity. So then a group also met shortly after that meeting. So I know several trustees were involved, as well as staff and the Wolds team, to go through the entire project and see what could be changed to kind of reduce the scope of the project. So that all happened, and then those bids, the rebids, were publicly opened last Thursday, July 23rd, and we received 3 bids for audio visual, and then 4 bids for the security package, which you can see in the bid tabulation form here tonight. So we did experience, if you'll see the letter from Wold in here as well. There were a couple of bidders that did not meet the requirements. So Advanced Technical LLC, they did not include costs for the specific systems and was based on a substitute system. So basically, the bid required that they use Genetec, and Advanced Technical and Fearings Audiovisual did not use that. So that makes them disqualified from the bidding process. And then another weird thing that got thrown in, obviously, it seems like there are a lot of things. Communications Engineering Company did not initially include their bid bond as part of their bid. But after talking with Wold, and I did talk with Paul as well, that's not something that would make them disqualified, and we have all of the bid documents now as of this meeting. So everything there is as it should be. They just didn't have it at the time of the bid opening. So what Wold is recommending tonight is for the AV and the security bids to be provided by Communications Engineering Company. They're headquartered in Green Bay, but they do have a Madison office. So the Madison team would be the team that would be working on our project if we chose to go that route. And then I do have the bid tabulation form here. I have, everything that everyone submitted as well, if we want to look through any of those documents. And then, like I said, I do have Mike Klaas from Wold on the line as well for any questions. So I don't know, wherever we want to go from here.
So,
Go for it.
okay, I'm a little uncomfortable.
Mhm.
They're all the bidders didn't follow the rules and give us all the requirements. We allowed one company to correct their error. So the question is, did we allow the other 2 to correct their errors?
So
And if not, help me understand, if we're being sued, what our justification is, why one that didn't meet requirements got
Yeah.
to meet requirements and the other ones did not.
yeah, so like I said, I emailed Paul today. And I can just read the email that he sent, because I sent the Wold letter, and I was like, I'm just wondering whether we can accept this late bid bond as this irregularity, and whether the board could legally choose to award one of the bids that proposed to substitute systems. Just wanted to see what you had to say. And he said, I agree with the terms and conclusions of the Wold letter. I have no concerns with the bid bond being submitted a little late. It has now been submitted, so the board can review the bond if necessary. I would not accept the 2 bids that were using substituted materials. If the board wants to review different equipment, the board could reject all bids, start the process over, with a call out for a different material. But what he's saying is that the bid bond isn't as big of an issue as using the wrong.
Well, I
Security.
understand that the
Yeah.
bid came in without the equipment that we stated, but if they said, we will do that, how's that
I
any
don't know.
different than,
Hey, Mike, do you have anything to add there? Mike Class?
I think the issue is the 2 that submitted a different access control system. I'm not sure that they have access to the Genetec system.
So they just wanted to put something in there.
well, no, when you say they don't have access, is it because they don't have licensing to sell it? Or they chose just not to use it?
I believe they don't have licensing to sell it.
So that was actually my question is, why was Genetec, I mean, there's a bunch of softwares that do what Genetec does. Why is Genetec a requirement? Is it because the access control system hardware is already decided and we went with access, or?
Well, I think that came up and Jed can help with it since he was the technology person on that. Is they original bids had a company that everybody said has very expensive. I don't know,
Verkada.
software.
It was called Verkada.
Yeah,
Okay, yeah.
Genetec, there's a bunch
Yeah,
out
yeah.
there. I mean,
Well,
kind of
so
expensive.
what they thought was, because we were trying to cut, if everybody bid using the same equipment, it would be more consistent and we'd get the lower bid. Now, I just thought this was, at the time, readily available to anybody to install. I didn't know that you needed to do a particular license for it, because that certainly, to me, would have limited the number of people if the only people that have the license, and I would imagine they do regions and stuff, they don't give license to everybody.
So the company usually, right, so like, you know, if you sell Genetec, you usually then sell Axis hardware on top of it. If you sell Verkada cameras, Verkada access control, obviously the Verkada software comes with it, but it's usually that, you know, these people that do this kind of stuff have relationship and special pricing with one person, so then they, you know, that's how you end up in this situation. Sorry.
Man, I just can't believe.
I didn't know until you had said, because it wasn't even in the packet, you know, the Genetec thing, but then you mentioned Genetec, and I was like, that was the subsystem that like disqualified some people, because again, it doesn't really matter, it's a software
Well,
that controls the stuff, and there's a bunch that do it.
But that was part of our discussion, and I guess, I mean, Tony was there, Jed.
I wasn't there.
Oh, you weren't
Becky
there.
was. I was out of town that day.
Yeah, so that, wasn't that?
That was all Tony, because I didn't know anything about the security system, and I think he was the one that wanted the Genetec.
Well, no, I thought it was Doug that brought it up, that he was gonna check to see if we could get, this is the way I understood it. Doug was gonna call Genetec, get a price for this job for Genetec, and then everybody was gonna bid with using that. Isn't that?
That's correct.
Also, Becky's on the call and has her hand raised if you want to entertain that.
Go ahead, yeah.
Okay, go ahead, Becky.
So I had in my notes that we talked and Doug said, well, I could talk to my people that I know at Genetec and have them put something together so people could use Genetec, but they wouldn't have to necessarily do that. That's what I have in my notes.
That is absolutely correct.
Yeah.
So I took the same notes. I didn't realize that it was only Genetec. And I think that has created some problem, because some people may have relationships with other companies that would,
Yes,
and they may not be able to deal with Genetec because they don't use that they don't have business with them.
Yeah, one can't just go to Genentech and be like, I'd like to buy your software. You do, like, you have to be a partner of theirs to sell it, but then there are Genentech partners, and then there are Verkada partners, and then there's.
I thought that the idea was that Doug would have reached out to Genentech and get all that and then use it as a standard.
So did Doug do that?
I don't think that was done. At least-
Well, it must have been done because two of them are being eliminated. Cause it does not meet the bid specification requirements.
Because they submitted something other than Genetech.
Right, so then I don't think it was specifically made, otherwise why would they have been? If it was just specifically using Genentech.
Does anybody remember what the bid document said?
Yes, Jay. So it's my tech team's belief, whether or not they got it correct. Obviously, we're hearing some differences. They believe that what they were directed to do is provide Genentech no substitution as part of the bid documents. And so that's how they proceeded with it.
Do that as if you already had that system existing and you wanted something new to tie into it, not for something brand new like we're doing right now, where we don't have anything, right? Yeah, so.
I think that's a miscommunication issue, I think.
You're saying the only reason why you say it's the one is because you already have existing. That's the
Right.
Yeah,
Just making sure.
if you had an existing building with cameras,
And
Genentech,
you want-
and you wanted to add access control or more cameras, you would put it in a bid that it has to work with your existing software, but not for something like this.
And do you have a preference, Chief?
No, I don't. I was just hoping for the system, like what we need. And the cheapest possible.
And they'll do, I mean, it's just the software that allows you to access the camera feeds and punch in, policy on the door access. They all do the same thing.
I mean, Genentech is used by law enforcement because they attend a lot of conferences. And so they're there,
Yeah.
they're in that conversation.
Their primary
where-
partner is Axis, which
where-
make the body cameras that
Right,
most
and
police
where-
stations use.
Verkada is schools, so they don't really deal with policing agencies, although I'm sure they've started to.
They work with a whole bunch of, I just met with them yesterday or last week.
So do we know what companies these two companies are using?
The two companies that,
The bids were rejected.
Yeah,
Spearing
Advanced
and-
Technical and.
Access.
they're using Axis.
Which is funny, because Access integrates into, Genentech.
See, this is way.
But
above
Access
the-
has their own software, so it's one of those, like, again, it's whatever the company has the partnerships and the relationships with.
So Wold is recommending we go with Communication Engineering Company. If we're going with what was bid out, this,
Because it's not their money.
Well, Fairing came in the lowest.
but Fairing is disqualified. So so is Advanced Technical.
But they're only disqualified because they can't do them.
Because they don't have the license.
Right.
That's kind of,
But
doesn't.
But
make-
they're saying that we can't do that because basically then there's tons of other companies that could have bid the project.
Well,
because-
that's why I'm bringing this up.
Right,
I'm
right.
really concerned about this.
Yeah, absolutely.
And, I mean, if we put a bid out that has a company that only people that can have that license can bid, that's gonna really
Right.
eliminate a lot of
Absolutely,
people,
absolutely.
so. I'm just, I don't know.
I know we're
just
running
don't-
out of time, but if you want the most competitive, I wouldn't put the Genentech. Disclaim, we should be open to, and it's a brand new building, we should be open to Verkada or Genentech or Access or whatever, it doesn't matter. Whoever has the best relationship and gives the best price, that's what matters.
So is-
And I also agree with you, Jay, in that, yeah, we let one company kind of circumvent the process. I know that they're probably putting it in layers of what is more important,
Yeah,
but technically, it's the same, right?
Well, that's what jumped out on me.
I mean.
Okay, none of these companies met the requirement. Now, I don't,
Except for integral building systems, they did. But whatever.
One did it.
One did.
And that's the
Or,
same.
yeah,
bid
the
that-
communications
It's
engineering,
almost the same bid that they did last time.
yeah, and this is almost the same bid, yeah. But
Well,
bring in advanced tech.
You guys, like I say, someone's gonna, I have, Paul, the attorney doesn't have a problem with it. I don't know if he knows that about the licensing and the restrictions, so I would definitely wanna bounce that by him,
Mhm.
just to see if that bidding was right, you know, that we can do that.
That we can do what, Jay?
Put it out that a particular company that you need you know.
Oh, that,
hardware-
how we did it in general?
Yeah, to
Oh,
start with,
Yeah, that's legal because you would do that if you were adding something to an existing system.
well,
But
we're not, so how's that a justification?
I don't think it's illegal here, I just think we didn't get, we didn't cast the widest net for the best price.
Okay.
So it's a little late to send it.
So besides going with communication engineering company, what is the other option?
To
Reject.
the bid.
You can reject all
We're
bids.
rejecting and go out again.
Without the,
And that's why I would be in favor of it, because this seems like a cluster and it seems like we didn't have our ducks in a row somewhere, right?
Well, the fairness bid says it's 55,000.
Right, so it's not cheaper. Genetech isn't cheaper.
Huh?
Genetech isn't necessarily cheaper, I guess is what I'm saying, because it's cheaper 150 for the security package. It's a lot less. And they're not using Genetech. I guess is just what I'm pointing out. Is that
Isn't Genetech for both things?
no. It's for the security. It's access control and your cameras.
But the only thing we really focused on was the audio visual part in our meeting. That's the only place we cut. We didn't cut anything in security side of it.
Well, and it's hard because the last bid, I guess we'd have to go back and look at it, but the 400,000 one
Mhm.
wasn't broken up between the two.
right?
So did we ever even see it?
Well, right there it is. You can see, yeah, you can see it. It's right there. It's the bottom.
For
That's
the for this bid.
Previous.
the
Oh.
413.
I see.
Yeah.
I see.
And then the other question is, if you're doing audio-visual package and security package, you have two different companies, is there an issue with one
Well,
company?
you can see we didn't do that. We have one company with Advance and
Right,
they're way ahead of every. You know, they're higher than, the idea was, if you remember the discussion, we went out with a total package, we only got two companies.
right.
So the idea was to go out again and break them out, cause we thought you would get like 8
Right.
on one and 8 on the other.
Yeah.
Then you piece the two smaller ones together and get your product,
But
because they are separate.
Mhm.
they are, so
Yeah,
so
they are.
no integration between the audio-visual and the security.
Well, I'm not an expert, but it didn't appear that way in that meeting.
Okay,
But I'm not one to really make a call on
And it
that.
excluded a lot of the companies from bidding is what the feedback we got is there were very few companies that can do both. And so if we split it out, you would get more bids on both and it wasn't gonna affect us and it was gonna save us. I mean, we already saved $80,000 by splitting it up if we accepted the bid they want, but we have an opportunity to save another 50,000 potentially. If we were able to accept that bid, so I think for me, the question is do we accept the AV bid? I think we have to deny the technology one and send it back out. Do we accept the AV bid or do we send them both back?
and did we talk about,
And what's the time?
Yeah, but
Yeah, I think the timeline's gonna be interesting too.
I mean, we were tight before.
Yeah.
did we talk about why the estimate was so quoted? It wasn't an estimate 200,000 for both?
It was.
started at 40, went to 200, but they reassessed and they had put it at about 350.
Okay.
So these bids are now within what they're estimating, but yeah, and this is what I'm talking about when we talk about budget. This is an extra, 150, potentially 150,000, we're gonna have to come up with somewhere.
Right.
That's what I'm saying, there's so many parts in this budget season, but we gotta figure this out.
Right.
So you wanna rebid everything?
I don't know what the right thing to do is, I really don't, it seems as though we missed an opportunity to get the lowest prices for the quality that we're looking for by not using other technologies. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, how many people didn't answer the bid because they weren't a Genetech reseller? We don't know the answer to that question.
But we also didn't have Genetech the first time.
But we also didn't separate it, so then it was, how many people,
Okay, I don't know.
how many people were like, I can do both? You know, we didn't get that many people that came forward, like, I think separating it is the right thing. But I don't know how we made the misstep of forcing Genetech in a brand new building that had no existing hardware.
The thing that we lose, this is where we're gonna lose, is there's gonna be difficulty in making any changes, because they're gonna move forward with what our plant was. Cause we already kinda lost it in the basement, we eliminated a spot that they had already roughed it in, cause the walls are in there. So that's what you lose by waiting, is if all of a sudden this company says, hey, this wire should be here, but it's already, you know, drywalled in.
So that is the one thing I don't understand, and I guess I was looking at the bid documents and it looked like there was like, this is where all the wires would be. I mean, that would be. So the two systems are never gonna talk together, right? Like, a thing that does Zoom and stuff has nothing to do with Genetech or Access or any of that stuff.
Right.
But if someone is needing to go through the building and pull all the wire for all of it, which I guess.
It affects that.
No, that should all,
It looks like there's conduit, it looks like there's conduit that we had installed for the wires to be pulled through.
right,
So they don't have to go through the
Okay.
walls because there's gonna be
Okay.
pipes.
Then
We'll
that's-
put in the.
yeah, the plan that we have, the construction, if you stay with it, we're good.
Okay.
Is if, like, we ended up, when we relooked at it and moved something, we moved one of the monitors, and that we could still do on the first floor, but we eliminated one in the basement, and if it was 6 months ago, we could have eliminated that being roughed in.
Mhm.
Put
So that's-
there for it or
Yeah.
something.
Yeah, so that's kind of where we're sitting right now. And how long did this all take again?
Well, so the 22nd, June 22nd was when you rejected them at a board meeting.
Yeah.
So it took a month.
Okay.
So I would think probably, yeah, the end of August, you could do this sort of thing again. But at that point,
When's our next board meeting?
our next board meeting is on August 10th.
You gotta give.
So you have to do the,
You wouldn't have it by
You'd have to
10.
post it.
yeah, you have to do the 2 postings in the newspaper sort
So
of thing.
that's 2 weeks, and then you wanna give them at least 2 weeks.
Yeah,
So that's why it's a month.
yeah. So that-
So
I-
do we think we can get cheaper than 134 and 150? Or do we think those are reasonable?
I think you have, well, I mean, when I looked at it, we have 338 and 330 are the two that I'm seeing.
Mhm. Yeah, 338 for
Up there
community
and then
EC and then.
Bearings up, 330. Or around 413 is the bottom one, and that's what they bid originally.
Also,
So you're saving $8,000, that's what we're potentially, I mean, when you look at these bids.
so the company would do both, so that's, so.
Yeah, CEC would do both,
I-
communications
I
engineering.
thought we separate,
Well, there's no reason to separate them, because there's only the one that came in at an advanced technical that came in at a 199,000 just for the security. And they don't do the audio, so you'd have to pick one of these other.
no, I get it, but I didn't understand that you had both companies doing both audio visual and the security package. I thought
Oh.
if they were not talking to each other, why couldn't you have one company do the audio visual and the other one do the?
Oh, I see
security?
what you're saying.
Right, couldn't you pick like?
Oh, I see, so you do.
You
You
could,
do communication engineering company, and you do the base for the audio, and then you take bearing.
but you can't because they're disqualified. I mean, like,
Well,
in this situation,
but do we accept the audio visual package from Communication Engineering Company and then rebid just the security package? Does that help us?
No, can we do that?
I think the way the bid docs are wrote is that.
Michael, would you have anything to say about that? Mike Kloss?
I mean, I think I structured it as two separate bids, so I guess it would be my opinion that you could award one and reject the other.
So, okay, so they could award the AV package from CEC and then bid out the security and open that up to anybody outside of Genetech and others.
Go ahead, Chip.
Michael, do you think that rebidding the AV stuff would result in a lower price or better options?
I don't, because I think on the AV side, I think it really did bid separately, and so I think you got their best version of it. I think my only fear about rebidding the security package is the two that bid Genetech. Obviously, their system appears to be higher cost, and so it's quite possible that they don't bid that at all. Not that that doesn't prohibit us from getting a good number. I'm just saying you may have less bidders on that.
You may have less bidders because they're gonna bid Genetech, which was higher.
Well, I would guess Genetech, although it appears to be higher here, if we allow Genetech an access, for instance, I'm going to guess Genetech may not bid. I don't know. I'm just guessing, but.
Why would that happen?
Well, part of this is we do our best to make these things apples to apples, but the reality is it's not, it's not a perfect science. They don't align perfectly always. And so it just seems, at least my history with bids like, this kind of thing, you kind of see the trend. And if the trend is one product is a little higher and the one product is a little lower, I mean, you just may not. Again, certainly we wouldn't exclude them, but.
I don't know, I feel like if we just went to bid with a security package and said we need cameras, access control, all the things that are on there, you didn't put any other, limiting on the software and stuff, you get the most competitive stuff, and some might be Access, some might be Genetech. I mean, you've done this more than me. I'm in my professional career, I'm like on the other side of this. I'm not buying, I'm selling, so I don't really know exactly, how people respond to bids.
Go ahead, Michael.
I'm sorry. Was there?
No,
I'm sorry, the Michael.
Trustee Michael.
Oh, sorry.
If we accept a base bid, we just do a security bid, well, companies not bid because they're hoping to win both. See, is that going to eliminate possible at all?
No,
That's why we did it this way, because we were losing out last time. I mean, we had 2 bid last time and we have 4 now. So we already doubled it by splitting it up. I mean.
I personally think, I mean, I'm getting closer to where we accept audio visual, because then that can start moving forward. And we rebid the security package part. And generally that is gonna be put on near the end, because it's the readers, and I think I'm pretty confident we've done a pretty good job on location of cameras and card readers, so I'm comfortable with that aspect of it. I have zero confidence in the audio visual because I just don't understand it. It's over my head in ways, way over. So I guess go ahead, Chad, and Michael.
My one concern with the security package is if we don't have a structured system, the whole thing is we're trying to get an apples to apples system. How do we make sure that we're asking for the same thing?
Well, the specs, that's why you have specs. The specs is supposed to bring everybody on. So whatever, I don't know enough yeah, we have specs.
I haven't seen them, but I assume, we have X cameras, X card readers, needs to be able to do X, Y, Z.
And I can provide that to you all if you want to see. It's just it's like a 100-page document, so
Yeah.
I didn't put it in the packet.
No, that's fine. So that's what's supposed to bring everybody to apples. Don't have companies decide I'm gonna put this in and this is how I want, and the cameras go here. That's all should should be decided. So it's just a matter of what it costs for them to install what we want.
Jay, if I can interject,
Yeah, go ahead.
one of my concerns, and again, to me, I don't ever see this in true bidding. Usually you don't see a bid that comes in with their own separate quotes itemizing everything, right? And so maybe that is more of an, a low voltage world, but my documents come in and in my mind, if we award something, it's based on my specs and my drawings, not on the quotes that may also come in. And so again, it just gets, I know we say we can enforce the spec, but if you took a look at the packet, they also, I think all three out of the four included their own separate line item quotes, which may or may not line up with our specs.
Okay. I don't know how to answer that really.
Well-
My expectation is whoever bids on this should know that they can meet whatever the specs that are written, that you have written. So I'm confident in that part of it. So, again, I'm guessing there's other things to look at potentially on what kind of support they have and that kind of stuff. But to me, I don't know if I could look at one reader from another and say which one's more higher quality than the other. The line item is just helpful for people to see where the money's being spent, but I'm with you, it doesn't matter to me as long as they meet the specs that you've written.
It looks like Jared from Land Tech, he's the PD's IT provider, has his hand raised. Okay, go ahead, Jared. Are you there?
Hi guys, sorry, I trying to find my unmute button.
Are you good now?
Yep. Okay. So I guess my question is, there are some of the firms that did submit documentation or a bid, and one of them was, I believe, submitted an access system. It meets the requirements of what the village would need, probably better than what a Genetec system would. I am curious as to the determination to automatically throw those out.
Well, that's more of a legal question than a IT question, but it's because they didn't meet the requirements of the bid documents. Because the bid documents.
Okay. I understand that, but at the same time, there were phone calls made to Wald to ask if this could be quoted, and they said yes.
Well,
I explicitly called and asked, and they're like, yes, we can't, yes, you can submit an access system, and it will be judged on its merits, as long as, it meets the camera requirements, the card access requirements, and then they were immediately thrown out.
Well, I can't speak to that, but the bottom line is the bid stated what the bid stated and it wasn't met. So I'm not gonna question that. My only concern on that whole thing is we allowed someone else to correct their mistake and we didn't do the others. That's my only issue on that. Jed?
I make a motion that we accept the audiovisual bid from Communication Engineering Company for $134,264.91. And we deny the security package bids and we send them out for rebid.
I'll second that.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Discussion, Tony?
The only question I have is, are you guys just gonna specifically request Genetec? Or are we eliminating that from so access can then bid?
I would put something in that would say equal or better than whatever. Can you do that? Is,
Something that meets our specs.
yeah,
I wouldn't,
I wouldn't even say that, I would just say it has to meet this spec.
okay.
don't list any companies, there's no reason to list Access or Genetech or
Right.
Verkada or anyone, don't list them, just. This is what we need, cameras, access control, this stuff, and
Has to meet
So
specs.
really, we can resend the bid, I'll just remove that one line.
Mhm. So maybe we can do it a lot sooner than we did.
So, one question, when Jaren just said Access would meet our requirements. What, better than the other, why did he say that? My question is, why is?
I mean,
That's his opinion.
yeah, I'm assuming he
Yeah.
has experience.
He has
with both
probably
teams.
companies he works with.
Okay, well, I'm just.
Yeah, I don't think he looked up consumer order or
It,
anything.
may I comment?
Go ahead.
I don't have a preference either way. I have experience with many systems, and they're part of the issue that I look at is your guys' long-term expenditure. The service contracts, the everything that you guys are going to spend long-term is probably my bigger concern than which system. With an open source system like Access, you have more vendors available. With a closed system like the Genetech, you are in the state of Wisconsin. There are very few that can actually service you, and that is more my concern. I mean, I am looking out for the village as well. And when you're looking long term, it having an open source system like Access, or there's a few other ones out there, you end up being better long term than something that doesn't allow for that.
Okay.
And that's more my concern, having a specific spec that means, hey, this is the system we want, and you're not, because a lot of those closed loop systems that only allow certain vendors, you have their fee, and then you have the actual vendor themselves, call it Genetech or whatever, that also you have to pay a fee for. So you're paying two service contracts, one to the company, one to your support team.
Okay.
Versus an open source, you're just paying for support to the team.
All right, thank
Thanks,
you.
Sharon.
All right, Bill.
So on that note, if you're talking open source, are you opening yourself up to possibility of more security issues with open source software than closed loop software?
But we're not putting that in the bid, so.
Well, I know, but he brought it up.
But it's not germane to this.
But that'll be,
It's not
yeah.
germane to the bid, and you'll have time to discuss that, because it's getting rebid, so if that's a consideration, get into the committee.
Unless you're suggesting that we put in open bid or closed loop, whatever.
Well, if open source solution is a security risk, we should be aware of that before we go out to bid. That's my point. That's my question.
Well,
And I don't know the answer.
is there,
No, it's
I wouldn't,
actually not.
yeah, I wouldn't
As
think
long as
that.
it's written securely, there isn't an issue.
And open source means everyone can read the code, and so it's constantly evaluated for security vulnerabilities by people seeing the code as it's open source.
Well, I'm cool with that. I'm fine. It's just,
Yeah, no, it's not a vulnerability to have
okay,
open
but
source.
I'm good.
Okay. We got it? We're good? Anybody else? All right, let's do a roll call vote.
Just a reminder on the motion, it is to accept the bid for the AV package from CEC. And then to go back to bid for the security
Yep.
part.
Correct.
And as I understand it, there's no conflict with our existing softwares that the police department uses or anything like that, none of that is an issue, right? Okay. Just making sure. I was-
Yeah,
I
no,
thought it was
no, but we, that was one thing we tried. All right, go ahead.
Trustee Henry,
Yes.
trustee Brochus,
Yes.
trustee Pombowski,
Yes.
trustee Bork,
Yes.
trustee Cavalier,
Yes.
president Lightfoot.
Yes, all right. Part two, part
Thanks, Mike.
B. Dane County Electric Vehicle Site Host Agreement.
All right, so we're back to this one. So this one again was at a previous village board meeting, so back on the July 13th meeting. So again, just as like just a recap, we've been selected to participate in Charge Up Dane County. So if we approve the site host agreement, it would allow the village to move forward with the project, which would include the installation of 2 level 2 electric vehicle charging stations capable of charging up to 4 vehicles at the same time. Agreement would commit the village to serving as the site host for 5 years after the charging stations become operational. And so so I'm just trying to see. So we talked about it at the July 13th meeting, and following discussion, the board postponed action and had some additional questions, which I have gotten from Dane County. And I also have Kathy Kuntz. She's on the call as well. She's the director of the Office of Energy and Climate Change for Dane County. So if there's additional questions, we can always address her. But I know one of the first questions that was asked earlier this month was about that 5-year operations and maintenance period. So the village would collect the charging revenue, pay the electricity bill, and the applicable state EV charging tax, maintain access to the chargers. So that would be like snow removal, and then providing charging data. So Dane County anticipates having direct access to all of that data. So they would be working directly with staff on getting all of the information that would be required, hopefully minimizing some of that staff involvement, because they'll be doing it at the county level for all of these municipalities. So they'll be also funding twice annual maintenance of the charging stations. And then the charging equipment and software will be covered by manufacturer warranties. So that's kind of where our responsibilities would be. And Dane County would assist us with coordinating with the vendors, establishing and adjusting charging rates as needed, and providing ongoing support throughout that 5-year period. So I think those were some of the main questions. And then for administration, they expect it to be pretty limited for reviewing charging records, revenue through the online management system, and routine accounting functions. But Dane County is estimating that the time commitment would only be a few hours a quarter for the village in those accounting areas. And then as far as electric costs and rates, that was another question that was brought up. The village would receive a standard electric utility bill for the charging stations, and would be estimating using MG&E. So then a separate meter wouldn't have to be installed. And then, like I said, it would just be the routine accounting functions. And then initial rates are expected to be about 20 cents to 25 cents per kilowatt hour, and can be adjusted over time. And that's kind of what I have as far as those questions. But if we have more detailed questions, yeah. What do you have, Jay?
Well, those are two of our concerns, and
Yeah.
I'm glad Dane County's gonna support, but I'm still trying to understand, which isn't clear, electric rates. That usually is controlled by the PSC. So does that mean we have to do forms to the PSC to charge for electric rates on these machines? And how, I guess, does the person put a credit card in, or what mechanism is being used to pay? Because if they're using a credit card, are we gonna be charged the fee for that? And who on our staff is actually gonna take his project and run with it? Because I've got a feeling the accounting part might be only 2 hours, but all this other stuff that has to go in, and I could be wrong because I don't understand it. So I understand we control the rate, and it could be 20 cents, 25 cents, but who needs to approve that?
Sure.
And how does it get programmed into the chargers? And then the meter, we almost would have to have a separate meter, because if it feeds in off the meter of the village, how do we know how much was taken? Unless the machine,
I think the machine
Yeah,
has
that.
one inside of it, it has its own meter, so because it registers how many kilowatt hours it's giving to the car.
Yeah.
So it has, so the machine, they're gonna have their own meters in them, like it's gonna be 20. So we're gonna know this month, 200 kilowatt hours were charged outside, so that means on the meter bill for the building, 200 kilowatt hours of usage on the building was for the chargers
Right.
outside. We know what
Right.
proportion went
So
outside.
is there software on those machines that then come to us? That we've got to manage and say, this lines up with the meter that MGE has versus the meters that the charging
But
station
there
has.
isn't gonna be a single meter, it's on the meter for the whole building. The
Right,
building
right.
is doing everything, there's only one meter at the building, it's doing all the lights, and everything in the building and the charging.
I just thought I heard Charlie say, hey, we have to have a separate meter.
no, she said
We do not.
We do not.
That was my question earlier that I emailed her, I was like, do these things need a separate meter? Cause that could add a whole lot of cost, which it doesn't, which is great.
Okay, so we pull that out.
Right.
Go there and pull it out. So then we owe this tax.
Right, then there's gonna be a tax on.
There's a couple
200
taxes, right?
Yeah.
So is there a form then that we send to the Department of Revenue with a check, or?
All right. I do have Kathy on here.
All right.
Kathy, do you want to introduce yourself? Have you been following what we've been talking about so far?
Yeah, great questions. I always appreciate when a municipality is thinking through all the pieces of this. So I'm Kathy Kuntz. I direct the Dane County Office of Energy and Climate Change. We got this federal grant to expand affordable EV charging across the county. And really, our quest here is to get level 2 charging in areas where people might not have plugs at home. So, a lot of our focus is in areas where people who might rent an apartment could have a used EV that they commute to work with and they could charge it. So that's and to do this, my quest is, my federal obligation is to have chargers that we construct and operate in our community that have like an amazing uptime for 5 years. So that means I'm invested for 5 years while I have this federal accountability to make sure this works for our partners, and then that you're well equipped to, because we're from the beginning turning the ownership over to you, but I'm going to be your buddy. And then at the end of the 5 years, you've got enough information to think about how you might want to change the vendors you work with or whatever. Okay, so that's like the frame. On the question of like the excise tax, so indeed, the software in the charger, by federal rule, these chargers are all going to be, you swipe a credit card to start them, and the charger has software to keep track of how much electricity was sold and can download that information to you so that you see, oh, in our EV charging account, let's call it, there's this much revenue from the charging that happened last month. We can download that revenue to our bank. And the state excise tax is due twice a year. The Department of Revenue has a form that you fill out for that is essentially how many kilowatt hours of electricity did you sell, and it's 3 cents per kilowatt hour. And again, I think the first round of these, lots of our partners have not hosted EV charging before, so I expect us to be like doing webinars or one-on-ones to help people get through that revenue filing. We're paying that excise tax for some county chargers already. My finance people tell me that's pretty smooth at this point, that you kind of enter, this is the number of kilowatt hours times 3 cents. Here's what we're paying, and it, is a pretty quick transaction kind of thing. So that is how that piece works.
Okay, tell me how you set the price. Are there any guidelines? I mean, did we say $1 per kilowatt hours and to make money or something like that? I mean, there's gotta be
Yeah.
guidelines, I would think.
Yep. Two sets of guidelines. First of all, there is Wisconsin statute that says that local governments must set a reasonable rate for charging. There's no definition of that, but there's a state guideline. And then during this first 5 years, when we're under the federal grant, our quest is to make you whole with the chargers, but to not make you generate a profit, because if you generated a profit, that would have to go back into the EV charging program, and that would get super complicated, and we just don't want to go there. So when we and the utilities have committed to work with us to help all 70 of our site hosts set their charging rate. So your charging rate is going to be, what are you paying for electricity plus the 3 cents excise tax? Are there other costs? So if indeed we estimate that 3 hours a month of your accounting staff are going to be involved in this project, we could include that in that cost. That's legitimate to include there. And then we convert that into, okay, so we're going to, which is why I gave Carly a range that I think it's, you're probably paying closer to 12 cents a kilowatt hour for your electricity at that building. When we add the 3 cents in, there might be other things we add in. We think you'll be in that kind of 20-cent ballpark. That is still a really good deal for someone who wants to charge an electric vehicle over the course of sort of some hours. The fast chargers tend to charge 50 to 75 cents a kilowatt hour because you're paying for speed there. You're paying for convenience. So this is, and by contrast, I mean, I charge my EV at my house, I'm paying 17 cents a kilowatt hour or less there, kind of thing. So it's that we're trying to make it as affordable as possible for the folks who don't have charging at home, is sort of the quest there. But so the two rules, if you will, the first is that it has to be reasonable under state statute, which is not defined. And then the second is we don't want you to incur a loss or a profit under the first 5 years. And at the end of the 5 years, you're going to have 5 years of charging data, and all the rules are gone then. There's no federal or county, for that matter, rules. Now, there still might be a state statute that says it's reasonable, but you could then go, well, you know what? We're going to raise this 2 cents a kilowatt hour. We think we'll still get the same charging, and we're going to generate some revenue for the village. There is no rule against that after those 5 years.
How do you set the rate? Do you set it on a machine in the software?
Yeah, you set it through the software. So not literally on the machine, but essentially there is the hardware that's going to go out there in the parking lot where people plug into, and then there's going to be a software system that goes with that charger, and it's in the software that you set the rate. So we'll set the rate, and we'll probably run it for a few months, and we'll look at how your math looks, and maybe we'll need to adjust it, because it's not going to be that hard. It's going to just be log in and change the value.
These are not fast chargers, these are regular,
These are level 2 chargers, right. So these aren't super slow level 2 chargers, but they're level 2 chargers. It's 4 to 6 hours probably for folks to get a full charge here.
I have a 65 kilowatt hour total capacity electric vehicle. It would take 6 to 7 hours to do a full charge on my level 2 charger, but people don't run them that long. So the 3 to 4 hours, if you're going from 20-25% up to full is about right.
All right, I have Judy, then Jed.
Hey Kathy, Kathy, you said you've already have these already in other places? correct?
We have other county-owned chargers that are subject to the state excise tax. So the thing for me to so this is a federal highway project that we're doing here. We have the money right now to do the construction part. We have 50 sites that are NEPA approved, and we're waiting for like lawyers to reach agreement at the federal level to give us the green light to go into construction. So we have not started construction on any of these sites yet.
So my question is because some will take longer than others, would you suggest people have to like do a sign in? Like they have to book, like they have to like say, I want it from 1 AM till 4 AM or something like that. How would you, or is it just first come, first serve, or how do you do it?
So that's a great question. Some of the newer chargers have ways for you to get in line. We haven't talked about that a lot, but part of what will happen, so once we get the green light that we can go into construction, we've already been having some conversations with site hosts about what features are important to you in the software. That's a feature we could talk about putting into our RFP, that it's easy to queue charging. One of the things that a lot of the charging software lets you do that sort of addresses this problem, and someone there is an EV owner, they might be familiar with this, is often at fast chargers, they charge you what's called an idling fee. So if my car is full, I have like 10 minutes to get back to it and get it off the charger. Otherwise, they start charging me for taking up the space when someone else might need it, kind of thing. We've had a lot of conversations. I think we're gonna want to ask for the ability for software that lets our site hosts charge an idling fee. There's just a number of people who seem to be interested in that for a variety of reasons.
Okay, Chad and then Cameron.
I have a few questions. Number one, can we get a fast charger, something past the level 2?
So we are not installing fast chargers, and under current state statute, as a municipality, you cannot offer public level 3 charging. You're not allowed to. Now, at some point that might change. Essentially, I think the way I would suggest you think about this piece is we're giving you the wiring to your parking lot, and think of the chargers a little bit like Legos that plug into that wiring. 7 years from now, there may be some innovations in fast charging and the state statute may change, and you could partner with a vendor and have faster charging in one of those spots. Because you've already got the wiring.
So a typical car, based on what Cameron said, could take, if it's half gone, could take 3 to 4 hours.
So it's going to vary by the car. I hate to make promises here.
How about an average or a rough guess?
Yeah, so the thing is, what most of us have as level 2 chargers at home are the slow end of level 2 chargers. They're like 6 to 10 kilowatt. We're aiming for it more in the 15 to 25 kilowatt range for what we install, so it'll be a little bit faster. I tend to think 3 to 4 hours is going to be pretty good in a lot of cases. Now, if you have an older vehicle, so one of the things about charging is it's actually the vehicle that controls the speed of the charging, not the charger. It's like your electric vehicle decides how fast it can take in the electricity. So if you have an older vehicle, it might take longer to charge just because it swallows the electricity slower.
Kind of like your iPhone on the bedstand that spans it out.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Right.
How many
that you're-
site hosts do you currently have that would be similar to us as a municipality? I know the county has stuff, but other site hosts that have this agreement, how many are in place right now?
So we have 50 site hosts with NEPA approval. Our municipal agreements have moved a little bit slow, I would say. We probably have 30 municipalities, and so that ranges from kind of Madison at the big end, but we have I'm thinking about other villages, Wanakee, I mean, the Stoughton, Oregon.
That's fine.
But yeah,
do you know why does it take up 5 spaces? And can we limit that?
So it takes up 5 spaces because under the federal rules, we're required to make one of the spaces an ADA space. So we essentially need 4.5 space. We need a bigger space to make that one space an ADA. And this is not this when I talk about the ADA, I should always clarify. So this works like ADA works in women's restrooms, not like it works in other parking stalls. So we will have a site that is ADA compliant and 3 that are just regular. And the ADA compliant one will have a sign that says use last, because this is the ADA station. And why I say that's like women's restrooms is because that's sort of the rule in women's restrooms. You leave the ADA stall for last in case there's someone who needs that stall, kind of thing.
Last question I have is there timeliness to approving this? Is there any kind of deadline here?
So we would prefer it approved sooner than later. I mean, the challenge with what we're dealing with at the federal government is it's a little bit unpredictable, and our municipalities who have signed agreements are just in a more secure spot with us in a world that's a little bit unpredictable for us.
And I would think we would want it sooner or later so they could talk with the construction of the, why tear up a perfectly good parking lot if we can do the conduit now? So I think there is somewhat of an interest to get it done.
Yeah, you've got a little bit of a unique situation because you're in construction. That's not typical of our sites.
Go ahead, Cameron.
How is the software paid for? Is that bundled into the rate?
So for the first 5 years, the software is paid for by us as part of the construction cost.
Okay.
So we're essentially buying 5 years of software, the hardware, the installation of the hardware, and a 5-year operations and maintenance agreement, which, as Carly said, means we will have a local firm that at least twice a year visits every site and does a tune-up. But also, if we get a call that a station isn't working, they'll come out and fix whatever is going on in that for those first 5 years. Again, because I'm being held accountable that the stations are up 97% of the time for those first 5 years.
What is the software cost then after the 5 years? Because I mean, we would have to pay for that then.
So what I have been saying to site hosts is these costs are changing a lot, and I think it's hard to predict what that's going to look like. I mean, first of all, you might have an option that I think a couple of things might happen. So in 5 years, we're going to have 70 sites across the county who are going, okay, how do I want to run my EV charger now? I actually think it's highly likely that there are going to be some vendors who might offer our sites sweet deals. We'll take over the maintenance, we'll do this, we don't know. I think it's not responsible for me to try to predict that, but what I do know is in that moment, you're going to know how much usage your station got in the last 5 years to be able to assess what do we think is a good deal for us. And if you wanted to, you could turn your stations off then at no penalty to anyone. I mean, that wouldn't make me like dance in the street or anything, but you could decide, okay, we don't think we're getting enough use. We want to change how this works, whatever. You could turn them off because they belong to you and you have no obligation to anyone else at that point. I think there's going to be good options for you, but I appreciate that there is a level of unknown here. I mean, this market is just changing a lot over time, and it's hard to predict what those opportunities might look like 5 years from now. And it's probably more like 6.5 or 7 years by the time we get all these installed.
Bill?
So, so you don't know what the cost will be in 5 years, I understand that, but what is the county's cost next year, 2027?
So we have not, because of the way the federal highway rules work, I'm in a planning stage and I don't have yet, like I haven't seen vendor proposals for the hardware and software. In general, what our engineering firm is using as an estimate for the kind of 5-year cost of the hardware and software, and I'm doing this from memory now, is $30,000 for the station that has 2 outlets.
And
that's hardware and software. So you have to think a bigger chunk of that is hardware than software.
So 1 stall, 2 stalls is 1 station?
Yes, right. You're going to end up with 2 kind of plugs, 2 stations, and each of them is going to have 2 cords that people can use to charge their vehicles.
And then another one is ADA.
No.
Well, one of those 2 is going to be an ADA and a non-ADA, and then the other one is going to be 2 non-ADA. Yeah.
So right now you're thinking 30,000 feet per year.
So I'm saying 30,000 for the purchase price of the hardware and software for each of those mechanisms. So
That's the startup cost.
Right.
The ongoing cost is gonna be a lot less.
Yeah.
You're not gonna buy a new station every.
right, you're not going to buy a new station. Right. The most of the so I was at an event with a lot of EV charging infrastructure companies a couple of months ago, and most of them talk about the chargers having like a 15-year life, and then they're like, by then we're doing this enough differently that you're going to want to replace the hardware kind of thing. But you should get, I mean, we went after this grant. Part of my aim in this is to give you capacity you didn't have before. So I want you to have free stations and wiring and all of these things that we can provide through the grant and experience that enables you to maybe do more different things at the end of the grant.
So you mentioned earlier that you want to kind of get this done sooner than later because the federal government is kind of in flux, and you don't know what the future holds from the federal government. Is that going to change what happens with the county in the next 5 years, regardless of what the federal government does? Is what you do based on what you're getting from the federal government today?
So it's a great question. Essentially, the way Federal Highway has these structured is there are kind of 2 moments when they give us a green light. The first green light was, yes, Dane County, you can do your planning thing. As soon as we get the green light for the construction, I have no concerns that that light will later turn red or yellow even, kind of thing. And that's partly based on what we see with the state's fast EV charging program, where once they got the legal issues settled up front with the feds, there have been no issues. But the faster, so to get into the nitty gritty of this, so one of the things our engineers are doing right now is they're preparing NEPA paperwork on your site and the other 20 sites in our round 3. Once Federal Highway approves that NEPA paperwork, the site is officially obligated and no changes to the rules can affect obligated sites, is sort of how this works at the federal level. So our first 50 sites are obligated, and my plan is to have Federal Highway approve the obligation for this last round of sites. There are 18 in the round, I think, exactly at this point. My plan is that will be approved by August 10th at the latest, so that all of our sites are obligated and the rules are fixed in a moment of time, and we don't have to worry about what might happen next at the federal level.
All right, I'm gonna speak and then Jed, did I see a hand go? Okay. I don't think we should spend too much more time on what's gonna happen in 5 years because there's the deadline thing, we don't have to do anything. So that board can decide if they wanna continue or not. My concern that hasn't been spoken on is what staff member is gonna take this on, because what I don't wanna see is where we have to hire somebody because we're overworked our staff. So has staff actually talked about who's gonna take it, even if it's only 2 hours or 3 hours? Who's gonna take this and do they have time to take this on?
I think the administrator and the finance director together would take this.
You wanna add, both of you have been telling me how busy you guys are.
It doesn't sound like it's gonna be a lot for these 5 years.
Well, yeah, okay.
For the 5 years. I mean, it can change. But I do think that Bobby's position would need to be involved. Just with the excise tax and the reporting and things like that. So I do think at this time, I would be comfortable with that.
Jed?
I think this is probably a question for you two is, what's the timing for Village Hall? When is this parking lot? When do we realistically need to make a decision on our end?
Well, I personally, I'm not sure why we would delay it unless people need extra time for extra data. They're moving at a point where they're trying to get it done by Thanksgiving. We just talked about the path and the concrete and stuff, and they wanted that sooner or later. So that is all tied to the parking lot. I'm sure their construction group of the county would like to know, so they can write up a plan and communicate with our construction team to get it done. So unless there's data that people are still looking for, I think we gotta make a call tonight. I mean, we could postpone it another 2 weeks, but I'm not sure why we would. Cameron?
My mic is just dead. Oh, I don't think it matters really. Well, the most cost of this is the upfront cost, right? It's construction and wire, and so if that's gonna get covered, like, great, it's probably not a huge concern. My only concern is that it doesn't get used very often, and then where, Carly's having to go in and manage a thing, we gotta plow that area and clear snow and all this stuff for it to not get used a lot. But
I'll be honest with you, I think if they're not being used for being plugged in, they're gonna be used for people using the park and the trail system. These are gonna have signs that are the last to fill, but if someone, if we have a special event down in Xander Park, we're not fencing those off.
no, I wouldn't fence them, but I mean, I guess
And that's what I think, what she's saying, in 5 years, we'll know, maybe it'll turn out that, hey, one is perfect, we'll keep one of them, but we'll turn off the second one if they're not being used. And it's all gonna be tied, 5 years is a long time, so we don't know how much that trailhead, I can see people coming, parking there, charging, and then going for a hike on the Ice Age Trail, or going and listening to a concert at Xander Park. So I think there's a combination there, but I don't know. We just have to wait and
Yeah,
see.
I think there's a combination, but I mean, I. Following your logic, I'd see cars parked at the Piggly Wiggly at those chargers all the time, you know, why not? You plug in while you grocery shop. I never see a car there ever, because why would you pay the higher rate when you can go pay the lower rate at home?
But
But apartments is different,
Yeah.
yes.
and visitors, you know, I know my son, he maps out everything on where he's gonna charge and everything, so. So I don't know, why did you wanna postpone this?
So, no, I guess it seems like there's a lot of questions. I mean, as the chair of the sustainability committee, I mean, I obviously support this. My three concerns are that it's in the back of the building, so it's not visible. I know that.
That's the only spot we can put
I
it.
understand that, I got that.
And add some side.
I understood there was a talk of the signs. I think a level 2 charger is generally too slow. I mean, if you had a population density or a number of events where people were there, I think it might get used more. I think being in the back and, you know, I mean.
Well, I know, but the back also puts it right next to the trail, right to the entrance of Xander Park. So we'll have to wait and see. We're speculating.
And level 3 is just, I don't know if you know this, it's DC power.
Yeah, I understand it can't, and I understand that can't be done, so that's fine. I mean, I guess, you know, I don't know what sustainability before I was the chair on this. I guess my feeling would be to refer it back to them and have them look at it and also compare what the other,
I can speak to that. This was brought to the committee and, they had said that they didn't want to do it in the front, like on Main Street, because that lot across from the bowling alley, there's only like 8, because we applied for this before, there's only 8 spots there, to taking 5 for this. I guess just too small of a lot to put it there. So in terms of visibility, wanted to do it on the front, but that kind of got shut down just because that lot wasn't large enough. So then the folks who were designing these places came and spoke to sustainability and Village Hall. And so this group did a lot of different locations throughout the village, and sustainability basically said Village Hall seems like it's gonna be the best place. We sort of talked about locations, but at the end of the day at Village Hall, we just said anywhere at Village Hall is basically what sustainability said. Let them figure out whether or not the front or the side or the back based upon how much space you have or whatnot. And that's basically, so this has already been to sustainability, but we said Village Hall is like of that whole list where we think a charger should go for this grant.
And at both community meetings on Village Hall, there were 2 things that the general public wanted: solar and charging stations at the new station. So, you know, we're putting the solar on and this is, because before we were just gonna rough things, because we didn't have the money to buy the station. So that has always been a plan for Village Hall. It's just now, instead of roughing them in, we're actually gonna get them installed. Bill?
Personally, I think it's a waste of money. I think because of the location being in the back, I understand it butts up against Xander Park and we're not gonna know for 5 years. I look at chargers at Quick Trip, I look at the chargers at Big, and they're never full. There's hardly anyone plugged in. I just, and there's only 1 apartment complex, 2 apartment complexes that are even close by that could charge.
Well, Bill, I'm gonna totally disagree with you, because the whole plan of that back parking lot, we don't need 65 stalls for Village Hall and Police Department.
Right.
We decided to expand it, so we have parking, which is the #1 complaint in this village of not having parking. And now we're gonna have parking, so I am guessing visitors who use the Ice Age Trail, who come to concerts on Xander Park or come to Trout Day, will fill that parking lot. I think that parking lot is gonna
The
get.
parking lot will get
Well,
built. I don't have a problem with that.
Well, no, but my point is, if the parking lot gets full and gets used a lot, you gotta think that, 10% of the cars out there are electric? That 10% are gonna be using that parking lot and wanna charge while they go listen to the concert.
How many, actually, do we know how many cars in the population are electric?
I read some, I wanna say 10 to 15%.
I don't know, but I mean, the other thing to think about is, I mean, you said it's a waste of money, like, but we're gonna be paying so little compared to like actually installing them. Like, just example, my level 2 charger in my garage was $750 for the unit, and that doesn't include, you know, the electrician to install it. These ones are obviously built to be outside, they're gonna be a lot more expensive, so even if that cost is not on us, we're.
But it's on the county, right? And where does the county get their money
Well,
from?
I'm sure. I
Well,
They
guess.
still come.
But it's not like they're not gonna, all right,
I make a motion that we approve the Dane County Electric Vehicle Site Host Agreement.
I will second.
all right, I have a motion and a second, any more discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, same,
Alright,
all right?
Thanks so much, Kathy. Really
Yes,
appreciate it.
thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yep, discussion and possible action regarding authorization to submit a simplified rate case application to the Wisconsin Public. Commission. We've taken that,
Bobby, I'll take it.
all right.
The memo says we last did a full rate case, is 2021, but it was a two-part, so step one went into effect February 2022. And then after the well project was all done, we did the second larger increase in July 2024, which is now 2 years ago. Obviously with inflation and whatnot, then we have a bunch of upcoming infrastructure projects planned. It's better to do. Makes it more palatable to do smaller increases. So one of the things that the PSC recommends is it's called a simplified rate case, so it's fairly simple and it's just a 3% increase. And then so we'll apply for this and then that'll get into effect later this year. And then as part of the March Stone stuff, it's my understanding that we will have to do another full rate case. Likely next year, or the year after.
So if I can just add on, if you remember the Ellers report, we were at. For borrowing to revenue, we were at 0.49, and ideally, we should be at 1-to-1. Our sewer utilities at 1-to-3, so you can see the extremes. I think we were well under 4% for rate of return. If you did looked at the audit report, so besides anything in the future, I think we just need this to stay up. I looked at my last water bill, this would add 3% would add 74 cents per month to my water bill. And that was adding 30 cents to the base, which is $10, you know, right now, so it'd be $10.30, and then I did 2,300 gallons, and that added 44 cents, so. And again, I'm probably on the lower end of users, but that's what we're kind of looking at. For 3%.
That's a quick question. Does that just add 3% across everything? Every single rate just goes up 3% base water use, and that's really it?
Just those two. It doesn't include fire, it doesn't include,
Right, that's. No, sewage is.
No, yeah, it just includes, I think our base is 23. I mean, our base is $10, so it'd be $10.30. And then I wanna say our per thousand, I think is it $23? I don't remember, it's on the bill there, it doesn't take, it's.
But is that like every single different water usage, cause there's like
Yeah.
multifamily?
I'm not even sure if it's a 3% across the board or how they calculate it, that's just what their website says.
Cause there's like,
It's 3% across metered water.
okay, so it's whatever the meters for, like irrigation water goes, if the irrigation meter would go up 30 cents as well.
Yeah.
Like it's like, you know.
Yeah, that would jump up
Cause
to,
there are a bunch, there's multifamily, there's commercial
Yep.
uses for water, it's every single.
industrials, yep.
Or whatever,
That's my understanding, that's how I've been calculating things.
but not the fire, you don't think that?
I don't think fire protection is part of that,
I don't know. Okay, I just was like,
because not everybody has that.
not everybody's billed that.
Yeah, not as much as we do.
Oh. I get what you're saying, like in terms of on there. I don't know,
Yeah,
it depends on how they can.
I don't know who determines that, to be honest with you.
Okay. All right,
Do you know who determines the fire protection number? That's the finance director I'm asking.
is that part of the rate case? Does that get suggested during rate cases?
I think when we do the full one, we have some
Say in. how we-
say in it,
yeah,
yes.
how we
But as
adjust
far
it.
as the simplified, this is the first one we've done since I've been here, so I'm not sure.
But I guess I've never seen, and I could be wrong, I've never seen at least mentioned in the paper when people go for water rate increases that they talk about fire protection. It's generally what's tied to the sale of water, but like I
It
said,
looks like it's the PSC.
it is a PSC that does it?
That schedules, rate schedules and tariffs for public fire protection.
Oh, there you go.
Maybe it is a 3%.
Yeah, could be too. All right,
I make a motion that we approve the authorization to submit a simplified rate case application to the Wisconsin Public Service Commission.
I second that motion.
got a motion and a second. Discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same. All right, discussion and possible action regarding final assessment resolution levy special assessments for 2026 sidewalk replacement project.
So that's me. So as you recall, last month, we had the public hearing, for the 2026 sidewalk replacement project, and then adopted the preliminary resolution. So since there was no objections, this would be potential action to consider the adoption of the final assessment resolution.
All right, do I have a motion?
Okay. I make a motion that we accept the final assessment resolution levying special assessments for 2026 sidewalk replacement project.
Do I have a second? I'll second it. All right, we have a motion and a second discussion. Bill,
There's a couple in here that, it says the city's replacing them. What does that mean?
So there are a couple of like, I believe like sidewalk ramps and things that are public. So those the village is then responsible for if they're not connected to a property.
our ordinance exempts ramps. The ramps are the cost of to the village.
So going from the street to the sidewalk?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, perfect, thank you.
Yeah. All right. Oh, you wanna say something? Go ahead.
No, I'm good. I'm not gonna be voting in favor of this. I think the sidewalks are in the public right of way and we should not be doing special assessments on village taxpayers. Okay.
All right, let's do a roll call vote, please.
Trustee Kettlemaker,
No.
trustee Workland,
Yes.
trustee Pomakowski,
No,
trustee Brochus,
Yes.
trustee Henry,
Yes.
president Lightfoot.
Yes. Now, for the people who voted no, you need, if you're really strong about that, you gotta change the ordinance. Otherwise, we're violating the ordinance. And it's not fair to people who have paid under the ordinance not to have people now. So I just wanna throw that out that, yeah, we had that great discussion and I don't mind re-looking at it. But the time to do it is to change the ordinance. So we have fairness across it.
Didn't we change, when did we change the ordinance?
Yeah, I know you
Yeah,
did.
No.
It was like 3 years ago.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
We
This
just,
year-
we implemented it for the first time last year. So this is our second time
Yeah.
implementing.
Yeah.
All right. So, discussion and possible action regarding parking regulation ordinance amendments to section 51.08 and 51.17. Go ahead, chief.
So this was brought to us, actually, Bill, I think, started it, wanting to paint yellow by mailboxes. The complaint is that sometimes people park in front of mailboxes, and we see it. And then the post office can't deliver, or they, they'll go past it, and then the next day. So to eliminate that, there was some options. We did have the attorney take a look at our ordinance once we made some changes to make sure that this would fall under a privy, just changing some words. The cost to paint yellow at every home would be astronomical. And so it just would be too much. And then the maintenance of it. So if you change the ordinance, like Paul suggested, it covers it, because then now it's just under ordinance and not requiring the yellow markings. Is that correct? I'm diverting to Cameron because he was involved in a lot of those discussions.
In the fund research I did, surprisingly, there's no federal law against parking in front of mailboxes, and there's no state law, so it falls upon municipalities, and you'll see in this one too, like, I looked at City of Middleton and City of Franklin, and we basically based it off of what they have, so.
Yeah, I was actually surprised. I was always under the impression that you had to be 4 feet from a mailbox.
So
My whole career, I thought that.
Yep, so was I, and then when I actually dug into it, there's nothing.
Yeah,
It's
surprising.
It's weird, but. So they leave it up to the municipalities. I think it's because of the cost. There's a lot of costs associated. Yeah,
No, not the painting.
yeah, but
Go ahead, Julie.
This did happen to my son in Sauk City. He couldn't get his mail for a week because someone parked it. That was funny. I don't have a problem with doing it, except for I just feel like the hours are way, like, especially on a Saturday, 9 to 7. Do we ask the post office, do they really need to be till 7? I mean, 7 o'clock at night is like,
I don't know if they were asked. I think
No.
because I feel like people are gonna have their parties on a Saturday, and if for parking, does it need to be that?
I don't think we asked our local post office. I know that they deliver sometimes late if they fall behind. I've seen them out late even at 7. I don't think we asked them specifically. We used other ordinances that seemed reasonable. There are other ones that are even worse. This one just really with Middleton, it really felt normal because they're so close to us. But yeah, no, I see what you're saying.
I just don't know why we don't just say all the time, you gotta be 4 feet from a mailbox.
We could.
I mean, I don't understand
Yeah,
that
but
part.
like in Laufenburg, where there isn't a whole lot of room anyway, they need that parking, if they have a party. Yeah, they need it. They need like, yeah, that's what I'm looking at, people's parties are on Saturdays.
And
but
you
that's-
could actually create where it's certain streets, but that you're gonna.
No,
that-
No, I
that
don't.
is so.
So what do you wanna move it to, 6 o'clock?
So I would,
Cameron did most of the work on
Yeah.
this. so-
I would just keep it consistent for all 6 days instead of trying to remember on Fridays different than Saturday.
Yeah.
Whatever the hours are that you want, let's just do it across the board.
it is the same hours. That would just-
No, but you wanted
it's
Saturday, just to modify
Oh.
Saturday because of the party. Yeah,
I make a motion that we approve the parking regulation ordinance amendments to section 5108 and 5117.
yeah, but to what?
So what's in the document? I'll second.
As-
Scroll down.
that's what he's talking about.
Yes.
Oh, I thought we had a choice between your.
So this was just all of the, this was basically the same document that we used at the public safety meeting to have the conversation with all of the information. So if you scroll down more.
This is the background of how they got to the.
Yeah, I thought we were picking one of those.
Yeah, scroll on.
It's actually.
No, that we actually.
Right here.
changed the
Right there, these are the changes.
So this is what public safety approved as the official changes. All of the other information is basically the preamble to how we got to these specifics,
It's
you
to
know.
show- Just to show that there was a lot of work done, it wasn't just, it's added to the ordinance with other municipality input.
Did someone, you said, did someone second it?
I know, we did.
Yeah, Cameron did.
Okay. All right. Bill?
Well, but I like it, great with it, how do you plan on enforcing it?
So, like we do all the other parking ones, there's only real 2 ways to do it. Complaint, or when we're driving around, we find parking violations, which happen both ways, so proactively or reactively. So that it would not fall any outside of that for sure. So if we get a complaint, someone's parked, which we do get complaints about the mailbox stuff, so this is why this is important. But every now and again, we'll drive by and we'll see cars that have been left for more than 48 hours, and we enforce that. A car parked in a handicap stall, it's proactive, you know, as patrol officers are driving around, you know, they spot a parking by deal with it. Could be much like this.
But I think that, I agree, that's how you do it. This one I think would be difficult because maybe if
Because of
it's
the
your own, you can park in front of your own mailbox, right? With this?
No,
No person.
no,
No,
Why?
no, because that would create, I mean, yes.
it's, the only exceptions are vehicle temporarily stopped while actively unloading and unloading, so, you know,
Okay,
there'd be someone.
I knew there were exceptions.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, but it's that, a vehicle stopped while actively delivering, or an authorized emergency.
Cause the problem is you don't want to be able to park in front of your own, because most mailboxes have more than one box.
Right, no,
on them, so-
I was just, okay,
And again,
explained it.
I mean, my philosophy on policing is compliance over enforcement,
Yeah.
so if we see someone park like that, we're gonna go run the plate, knock on a door, take a few steps before it's an
Yeah,
issue.
good.
This is more for those people that just absolutely refuse to comply, or they've left the car there for the
Right.
weekend and caused a problem
Right.
beyond the compliance portion. That's with every violation. I mean, there are some that we don't get breaks on because they don't warrant it. Something like this, you probably run the plate, go knock on a door and say, you can't park here, move it along, much like we do with snow removal. We do that with snow removal all the time.
So
Oh, okay,
I just.
Bill then Michael.
I'm sorry.
That's all right.
I just have one, in the exceptions, number 3. I've read it a dozen times and I still don't know what I'm trying to say. A vehicle is parked at the mailbox of the resident who owns or operates the vehicle, providing that doing so does not obstruct access to a neighboring mailbox.
See, that's the one.
That's
I
what
was-
you're saying.
I thought I read that in there.
A resident can park their car in front of their own mailbox, is what that allows.
Yes,
You can park your own.
but not if there's
But
multiple
no, there's multiple
mailboxes.
ones, so you're not-
That's what that's saying.
I did.
Yeah.
So I can pull in front of my mailbox and park there,
Yeah,
but in Laufenburg where they have groups,
Right,
you can't.
I mean, it makes sense if we're trying to, cover the hanging out at a party where you're blocking your own mailbox.
So Saturday you can park your car in front of your own mailbox.
If you wanna
Grab a party.
I thought I read that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, I was gonna say when he said
If
it,
you
I
wanna-
said no, and then I read it.
If you wanna omit C, that's fine, that was just taken directly from the Franklin, you know, so we took a part of the Franklin one, we took a part of the Middleton one, the time from the Middleton and this exceptions from the Franklin.
And I'm guessing they did that is because for like people who are visiting, like. I allow my kids to park in front of my driveway and in my driveway even, you know, cause I'm not going anywhere.
In reality, with all I mean, you're right, one of the number one problems we have is parking. This might satisfy those people are like, well, it's my mailbox, I
Yeah.
don't care that my neighbor, you know what I mean?
Especially blocking.
There might be some spots where this makes sense. It's eliminating clusters of
Right.
mailboxes, so. Me personally, I'm indifferent to it, I just would leave it,
Leave it in,
yeah.
I'm good with leaving it, if somebody wants to block their own mailbox, let them.
yeah.
Well, they're the ones gonna complain.
Well,
They're not gonna
they're just-
complain on themselves.
Yeah.
And the road,
Check out my own car.
just to circle back to the original problem that Bill brought, you know, a resident who lives near the library talked to him and said, hey, I miss mail. And I get, you're in a high, so if that person now sees someone parked in front of the mailbox, they can, you know, let the police know and they can, you know, come
And-
evaluate the situation.
And you know, the painting of the yellow, cause that came up. In Baraboo by their middle school, like a block from each direction, they have done that because so many people park. Close to the mailbox, they give that. I'm not suggesting that, but I could see in certain situations, potentially the library. For example, if that becomes a problem, we do paint, you know, the 4-foot strip, and it's probably just on either side of that library.
We did, it's not here because public safety talked about this topic twice, but we did get estimates from Matt on that. And Matt was really concerned about if you did it in that place, other people asking for it and they're close. And so then all of a sudden, and so our next meeting.
No,
Yeah, no,
I don't, but like I say, I don't have a problem explaining to someone, no, you're not living in front of the library.
Yeah,
And, yes, Bill.
So does that take away your proactively?
No,
Because of.
no, I mean, you're gonna run the plates in front of that, you
Oh,
know, in front of that
Okay.
house, you know.
that's
And
right.
most of us kind of
Yeah.
don't know who's where, you know,
Okay.
you're gonna know.
Okay, all right.
All right, we're good, take a vote,
Yep.
all in favor, say aye. Aye, all opposed, same.
Aye.
Okay. Discussion regarding Memorial Day after action report.
I don't, I prepared it, obviously, as requested by the board. I mean, this is a pretty, substantiated and consistent event. There's the same kind of issues that you've always had for decades, parking. The more the event, this year happened to be one of the bigger ones, and we sold out the food pretty quick. And so, I mean, there's a lot of people, anybody who attended it saw that it was packed. Other than that, there's not anything super concerning. Didn't take a lot of energy from our behalf or finances to handle this. So it's just a well-rounded event, and I mean, they've pretty much perfected it, so. I've got a report, I could probably paste copy this over and over, I don't, unless there's, something comes up at an event that causes something major, but. It's pretty well done, so.
Yeah, appreciate you doing it, Judy.
This is the first year, cause I was bartending it, this is the first year they let us open the beer before the Legion was done speaking. Did you have any complaints on it?
No, nobody complained about
Cause
anything.
we used to never, like, we wouldn't serve a beer until the Legion was done. Now it's-
I don't know if they would report that to
Yeah.
Tony, I would think the Legion might. get
Yeah,
complaints.
even the Legion,
I was at the hot dog stand the entire time, talking to a lot of people, nobody said anything about it. I think that, you know, the chamber's doing a good job of educating and letting them know that we're holding off on food sales and things out of respect. But I think there's just a little bit more grace between the entities that are working that event.
Yeah.
No one complained to me about it.
you'd have to compete with the bars that are, serving alcohol before anything comes down, you know?
They ground, well, this is on the ground.
Yeah.
Were you selling a lot of beer before?
Yeah, actually, yeah.
It was a hot day.
All right. Anything else on that? All right, future agenda items.
Nope, the creation of the thing.
Oh, I'm so, yeah,
We
well, you pick
just
it up
take
there.
Okay.
We're not gonna talk about it or anything. There's
It's
a
in-
hard copy there. Huh?
The only thing I will say, there are, Jeff pointed out, some of the items are in red text, which is different this year, and that's just pointing out like. That those are probably gonna change before we even discuss them.
Okay.
Maybe not. So like, Park Street, that obviously changed before we approved this. Flood mitigation, we're waiting for.
Yeah, the only reason I did it doesn't say discussion on it, it says distribution,
Yep.
so. Just trying to follow the agenda. All right, any future agenda items?
Real quick question, when does early voting start, or has that?
Tomorrow.
That's what I thought. Cool.
Okay. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same.